Hello, and welcome back to Coffee with Dhari podcast about building brand strategies specifically for women in leadership, women executives, CEOs, thought leaders. This is for you. And today we are talking about the 3 shifts that women executives must make to become thought leaders online. And this is for those of you again who know that you want more out of your career, you want to explore maybe other opportunities, or you just want to maybe make a shift to, it could be a whole different career, it could be a lateral movement, just wanting to get more out of the expertise and the reputation you've already built. So the first shift we're going to talk about is from moving from being a quiet expert to a visible authority. So, what does this mean? This means that in the office, in your workplace, your reputation is built by showing up consistently, delivering results, probably getting along with certain colleagues, but online, no one sees any of that, right? All they see is what we can show them. They don't see, your coworkers might see those long hours you put in. They know who's making certain decisions. They can see the transformation you've created. But online, we don't see any of that unless you show it to us, unless you document it. So you can't assume that the world knows what you know or that the world knows what your colleagues know. I mean, even people at other companies might not know all the work that you put in. So authority online is not built, and silence is not built by playing small. You have to be visible and you have to talk about what you do. So how do we do that? I know it's a little uncomfortable. You can sense the last episode where we broke down a little bit of that hesitation towards talking about yourself, but a micro habit, something small you can do right now, is to think about your decision making process and how you can share that externally. So think about that. This could be a LinkedIn post, text written. If you like video, this could be even like just a 90-second video about how you faced a challenge, what options you had, and then what the result was. So this is a little bit case study style. But we have to move again from being quiet experts to visible authority. What decisions, let us know about what decisions you're making, any inspiration that you've had, something you've learned along the way. This is how we make those subtle changes and start to share our thought process, our strategies. Okay, so shift 2 is going from performance content to leadership content. And I think this one's really important because when I have conversations with women in leadership, there is I don't want to say hesitation, but there is I don't want to say fear either, but there is an apprehension towards feeling like an influencer, right? You don't want to be showing off what you're eating for lunch. You don't want to do reviews. You're definitely not going to be dancing on camera, right? Or you might, I don't know. You might be into that and that might work for you. But there are certain things that I think women in leadership don't want to come off as, or let's face it, you're strapped for time, right? You cannot be a full-time content creator. So how do we move from content that feels performative to leadership content? So performance content can look like, look how much I'm doing, whereas leadership content is you sharing principles, lessons, and frameworks so that others can learn. So what I see a lot of executives do when I say that is that they'll talk about project wins, press mentions, and not that that's not good, that is. And we should talk about those things. If you are written up in an article, yes, absolutely. We want to clap for you. So definitely share about that. But you can go a little deeper and share a principle from the article, your thoughts about being in that article, how you got it, why you're proud to be featured this way. So again, another example could be like instead of saying we launched this new product this quarter, you can say here are principles, three principles that we use to guide this product launch and how you can apply them. See how that second one kind of gives more insight. It doesn't just reiterate information. So the micro habit we can put into place here is to end the update, or when you're writing about an update that's going on, you think about what's the takeaway for someone outside of my team. Okay, think about what's the takeaway from someone outside of my team, and that will help shift you from just posting, hey, I was featured in this article, or we did this thing, this happened this week at work, into insight that feels valuable and that positions you as a leader. Okay. And then this leads us to shift 3, which is I know the struggle here, and it's going to be the constant struggle, and that is from sporadic posting to being consistent, to having a system for your presence. So, sporadic posting, I'd rather, let me, I have to kind of think about how I'm going to say this because I'd rather someone be posting every once in a while than not posting at all. But the problem is that sporadic posting isn't going to keep you visible. It's just like every once in a while you'll pop up. And in the age of algorithms, that lack of consistency means that you are not going to be in people's feeds because, as we know, algorithms like when you show up and they take that first, they show your posts to only a small percentage of your audience, and then they will decide from there whether or not this is like content that people wants to see. So because of that, and in general, because there's so much noise online, because there's so many other people posting online nowadays, sporadic posting just isn't enough. You have to have a system in place. And I'm not saying you have to show up every single day, but at least show up with a rhythm that's sustainable to you. So if you can only post once a week, let's keep that up. Maybe you can only post once a month, and that's okay. Maybe we make that a longer piece of content and you make sure that it launches every 10th or every 15th of the month. And that's how we build consistency then. And even with these, I'm going to go on a little bit of a tangent here, but if you only do have time for those larger pieces, there are ways to take those large pieces of content and create smaller pieces of content so that you have consistent content that's not just once a month. But I digress because that was a little tangent there. So sporadic content can look like just sharing something when you're inspired to, whereas when you are systemic about it, it's committing to a timeline, committing to posting something. You set up a schedule and you stick to it. So that's why I like to give my clients pillars, because it makes it easy for you to batch content, to think about it in that way. So maybe every Tuesday you post a story, or maybe you like to read. Let's backtrack. Maybe you love reading and you commit to sharing a quote that inspired a thought or action every Tuesday. And then every Thursday, you tell a story about a challenge that you faced in the past and how you got out of it. And maybe like a quick insight about something that's happening in your industry on Saturday. That will keep you in the feeds more consistently than just showing up whenever you feel inspired. So you start to become a familiar voice, a trusted voice. People know they can count on you. They know what content is coming up. Even subconsciously, they'll know what's happening. And so something you can do, the micro habit you can here is to schedule a block of time to batch posts for the week ahead. It can be 30 minutes, but take the time to actually shut everything out and come up with the 3 posts that you'll do next week. And they don't have to be super complicated, but just setting that time aside on your calendar will be super helpful in staying consistent. You have to create the time for yourself. You have to carve that out. So, what happens when you do start to shift? Well, you start to become part of conversations that maybe you weren't part of before. People might start to recognize you um, because you're showing up more often in the feeds. Uh, you could be a topic leader. People will say, oh, she speaks a lot about this topic. She's a knowledgeable source for information on that. Uh, you will start coming up in searches depending on what the topic is. And that's really where the magic is. That's where you start to attract opportunities. And if you want to dive a little deeper, I do suggest that you sign up for my free masterclass. It's called 3 Steps to Build a Personal Brand that Positions You as a Leader Online. And we go through exactly what I said it is 3 steps to making shifts to really help you position yourself as a leader. We go through drafting your point of view statement, how you pick the topics that you talk about, and just some other shifts that can help you turn your quiet expertise into a visible authority without getting super overwhelmed. I will link the masterclass in my show notes and the YouTube description, and I will catch you next time on the next episode of Coffee with Dhari. Thank you.